Belpre is adopting a new alert system for their water and sewage plant. The old system was very old and aged out, leaving Belpre without another system to watch over the lift and booster stations. Water and sewer workers would make daily rounds to each station to make sure the pumps are working properly. Mayor Susan Abdella says the new system will benefit all of Belpre.
The system will benefit in letting the workers and the managers for each of these areas be on top of any equipment malfunctions, which will keep the system running effectively. We reduce the risk of liability of backup into people's homes. You really don't want to wake up to raw sewage in your basement.
With the new system, the workers can focus on other tasks around the city, such as replacing water meters and fixing water line breaks.